Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Thunder Dragon list that I made for you guys. Yes, I finally made the Thunder Dragon list. I needed a little bit of time to tweak things and essentially also test stuff, and this is the list that I came up with, and I'm pretty proud with it. So we hope you will enjoy this one. Now, one thing I'll say before we'll jump into the video and all that stuff is that I am aware that there is a new archetype revealed, which I want to do a review for. I'm just waiting a little bit for, next week to kind of like think about stuff. So I am going to get to it. I'm just going to take a little bit more of my time to just think of all of the implications and stuff like that before I'm actually giving you my honest rating for it. So if you're interested in me reviewing the new archetype, it will come, it's just not right now. And for the last thing I'm going to say is the usual thing that a subscriber a day keep the depression away. If you want to help the channel, I'm really appreciating it. And it really helps a lot. And in the last week or so, we've just grown by like 40 to 50 subscribers, which is crazy. So thank you all, guys, and let's keep up the good work. And yeah, let's jump right into the video itself. Alright, so let's get started with the list itself. And to start things off, I run triple copies of Thunder Dragon Dark, triple copies of Thunder Dragon Roar, triple copies of the OG Thunder Dragon, one Hawk, and then the double matrix for the small Thunder Dragons. There is also another one, but we'll talk about him in a second because he belongs to another package. Now, these is pretty much a pretty traditional Thunder Dragon list. In the case of all of them, except from the original, they have all of them have two effects, and you can only use one of the effects per turn. In the case of Dark, you can either discard itself as a quick effect to add to your hand another copy of itself, or the effect that you mostly use during your turn is either basically when you get banished or sent to the graveyard, you get to, or should I say sent from the field to the graveyard, it's not like from anywhere. If it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to add to your hand any Thunder Dragon card except itself. In the case of Roar, if you use its effect to discard itself, you're able to basically retrieve any Thunder Dragon card that is banished or in the graveyard to add it back to your hand. Or if it's sent from the field to the graveyard or banished, you get to summon a Thunder Dragon out of your deck, making it really much the best one to have, because this one is the one that you want to banish with a Lupine or draw into, because this allowing you to get into the dark, which then will give you a search and also giving you a monster on the field, making things really well for you. Like, you want to use these two the most because they're the best ones, and obviously others are depending on the situation. Then you have Hawk, which is a one-off. Some people like to run this one more. I like to only run the one. Hawk have two effects again. It's either A, you can discard it for a monster reborn for any Thunder Dragon monster that is either banished or in the graveyard, or if it gets banished or sent to the graveyard, you get to shuffle cards from your hand to your deck and then draw the same number of cards, which is actually really good because there are some bricks or cards that you can just basically get rid of out of your hand and then get new ones. Matrix, you discard it as a quick effect to give a Thunder Dragon, or should I say a Thunder monster you control 5 under attack permanently, or if it's sent from the field to the graveyard or banished, you get to add another copy of it to your hand, which hence why we're running 2. And basically what you do with this, with most combos, you either turn this into a Link Haribo to search the other one, or you just have this in your hand to use with your Titan, which is pretty much what you use it for. And then for the OG, if you don't know, OG is basically you can discard it anytime you want per turn, and then you can add up to 2 copies of it from your deck to your hand. So it can either be, you add both of the other copies to your hand, or mostly what people do is that you discard it, add 1, then discard a second one, add the third, and then you shuffle them back somehow and repeat with the one that you have in your hand to then discard and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how that works for the Thunder Dragons. And that's pretty much does it for them. It's pretty much the lineup that you mostly want to run for them. These are the important ones, and these are just like the utility ones, and this one is just good to draw into. It's pretty much how that works. And then for the other Thunder Dragon monster, and also for the other package, I'm running 1 copy of Duo, 1 copy of Chaos Creator, 1 copy of Chaos Valkyria, 1 copy of Black Dragon, and 1 copy of White Dragon. This is basically the list of Chaos monsters that I want to run. I also will hear people in the comments saying Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, probably. But I'm going to explain why I do not run Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. Is because Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, unlike Chaos Creator or Duo, require 3 materials, which is a lot harder trust me, to get 3 materials than 2. Which is even light and dark. Now, I know he can require combine, which could make these a little bit worse, but because, you know, you need 1 light and 1 dark for these, but he requires 3, which making things still very, very annoying, and in order to get, like, the better effects, you need either 3 lights and 3 darks, which is really, really annoying. In the case of what they do, in the case of Duo, it's just a searchable Chaos monsters that can either be searched by Chaos Space or Thunder Dragons themselves, so that's why I like to run the Duo. Chaos Creator, you shuffle things back and you special summon, which is really cool. In the case of Chaos Valkyria, you basically have this as a baby, you know, like dragons, but can banish anything that you want to, and also set up your graveyard if it gets banished itself. And then these two, because they're really, really good by themselves. They're really, really nothing to say a lot about the Chaos monsters. And then for your normal summons, I run triple copies of Aloof Lupine and double copies of Battle Man Solar. I specifically think that Battle Man Solar is a little bit worse than Aloof Lupine, but both of them serve a purpose. Aloof Lupine allowing you to banish any monster from your hand, and then you banish another one with the same attribute out of your deck, which is actually pretty stupid. Or should I say same type? It's not attribute. I'm stupid. Same type. I'm getting those two confused. Anyway, you banish the same type, so that means, for example, you open up with a dark, you're able to banish the dark, get the search, and also search the roar at the same time, and you do the chain link and all that stuff, which is actually kind of cool. It also have another effect, which is if this card will be destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent card effect, you get to target one of your banished monsters and add it to your hand, but mostly it doesn't really used for that. It's mostly just like you normal summon it, you banish for cost, if your opponent ash it or whatever, it is what it is, but you're still able to get the banish out of your hand, which still can able to activate its effect. In the case of Solar, it's just a Foolish Burial for anything, so it's really good with the mini Chaos monsters or in general for setup. And then you also have the other effect, which is if a Thunder Dragon, or should I say a Thunder Monster is special summoned, you get to special summon a token, which does come up sometimes. So they're pretty much balancing each other out in case of what you need, but mostly I think that these are like, 3-2 ratio is the best one for me. Of course, you can do whatever you feel is necessary. And then for the last monsters, I run 2 copies of, should I say, 1 vanilla, 2nd vanilla, so 2 copies of vanillas, Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon. Yes, I run Dragoon here, even though I don't own a physical copy of Dragoon, but I do admit that in this particular deck, Dragoon is kind of necessary. Just like in Cyber Dragons, it's really necessary in some decks, and I'm okay with Dragoon in some decks, not in all of them. And this is one of those decks that I'm okay with, because Dragoon is fine here, and this deck doesn't have Colossus. The moment that we're going to get back Colossus, I'm not okay with this there. But Dark Magician, Red Eyes, nothing to say about these one way too much. And then hand traps can be up to personal preference, but I decided to go with 3 Nibs and 3 Ash. Again, up to personal preference, what you want specifically. I just decided to go with these because Ash is just good, really good this format against other Dragoons or just in general. And then Nibs because people still don't really play around it that much, so having the Nibs is really good. Also, Nib is a light hand trap. But of course, you can run any other, dark hand trap that you feel like it, or whatever you feel is necessary. But that's pretty much it for the monsters. Now we'll move on into the spells. For the spells, I run triple copies of Chaos Space, triple copies of Allure Darkness, and then 1 copy of Gold Sarcophagus. Nothing really much to say about these. Chaos Space, search your Chaos monsters and draw you cards. Really, really good. Allure Darkness, banishing your darks, which be Roar and Dark that you want to banish the most. And also, you still have some other, dark Chaos monsters in Aloof Lupine, so you're not really ever going to be out of darks. But the point is, you want to banish your Thunder Dragons most of the time, and then get their effects, which are really good. And then Gold Sarcophagus is because it can banish anything, and then trigger its effect for the Thunder Dragons, which is pretty nice. And then for the last 3 cards, 2 fusions, and 1 other fusion, which is Red Eyes Fusion. This is the one that you want to have in your deck, and the one that you basically want to use Hawk Effect sometimes to shuffle back if you draw into it. And then Thunder Dragon Fusion is a card that you either want to draw into or you search into it. Great card, giving you Titan, which is pretty good. Now, of course, if I had a little bit more space, I would probably also run Instant Fusion, Foolish Burial, and Monster Reborn. But I like to run 40, I don't like to run over 40. If you want specifically to run over 40, you're more than welcome to. I just specifically like to run it like this. But that's pretty much it for the main deck. Now we'll move on into the extra deck. And for the extra deck, first off, for the fusions, double Titan, one Dragoon, and then the one Abyss Dweller to run things off also for the only Xyz. Yes, I know I'm proxying it. Shut up. I like the one copy of Dragoon, like I mentioned before. I know I'm proxying it. It's just there's really not worth it for me to purchase right now because of competitive scenes and the stuff that, you know, all the situation in the world is just not worth for me to purchase at the moment. So that's why I'm proxying it. But I'm going to say this. I mostly don't like Dragoon. I just feel it's really necessary in a deck like this. Abyss Dweller is for the situations that you are able to bring up 2 level 4s and you do need to deal with extra deck stuff. And then you have Titan, which is if you're able to bring it out, and you also have like a Thunder Dragon in hand or multiple of them and you can just discard them. It just pop, 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 which is really good. And it's also a 3200 beat stick, which is big. And it can also protect itself, so that's also another top for Titan. But you only need 2 in my opinion. Some people think you need the 3rd. I just don't really find ever the space for the 3rd. But it is up to you. What do you want to do with it? But for the rest of the monsters, that's only links. For the small stuff, I run Linkaribo, Striker Dragon, Predator Plant, Verity Anaconda, Masquerena, Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn. These are the small stuff that I run. These are pretty self-explanatory for what they do. Anaconda is for the, you know, Dragoon or, you know, sometimes even Thunder Dragon Titan himself. IP is if are able to make these 2, I basically use these 2 during the opponent's turn and then make one of my Link 4s or whatever. These are for, you know, package of removal. Striker Dragon is for the off chance that I only open up with the Chaos Dragons and they're the only, like, extenders that I can use. So I can still get one of them off to then proc the effect to search the second one. So this is pretty much the baseline for that. And then Linkaribo if I need to get rid of the, you know, the egg to then special summon the Linkaribo, proc its effect, and it is what it is. So, you know, that's how that goes for that one. And then for the big boss monsters, Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, Avermax, Boral Sword, and then Underworld Goddess. This is the ones that I decide to go with. You can also cut these or, you know, change these depending on what you want specifically. But I decided to go with these specifically. Appaloosa is just Appaloosa. It's really good in some particular situation with IP plus, you know, Verite. Or in some weird situations that you are able to go into it with no problems. And this is kind of like your interruption. Avermax in some particular situations. And because of the fact that it is the more preferred for me if I have just only IP and, what's his name? Verite, because, you know, 2 negate Appaloosa is not the best thing in the world, so you still have, like, a big bit stick that if my opponent removes can shuffle things back, or just really, really annoying to get over. So, you know, Crusadia Avermax is actually pretty good for that situation. Boral Sword for OTKs. And then this one is that if I'm able to also end up with another monster on the board, IP and a Verite, and then I'm able to just steal my opponent's stuff. So that sometimes does come up, and also to help you deal with some particular situations, which I like quite a bit. But that's pretty much does it for the extra deck and does it for the deck profile as a whole. A little bit more of talking a lot of the monsters at the start, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward for what it does. So yeah, it's pretty fun deck, and I'm really enjoying it. And also, I'm super happy that I'm finally able to bring this to you. So, you know, hope you enjoyed this one. But now, let's move on into the combos if you haven't played ever with Thunder Dragons, or you just want to refresh your memory. So welcome for the combo section. And for the combo section, I'm going to share with you a few combos that I think will be really nice for you if you want to refresh yourself with Thunder Dragons, or you haven't played with them before. And I think that will be a really nice way to learn. And for combo number 1, you need Aloof Lupine and then either Thunder Dragon Roar or Thunder Dragon Dark. It doesn't really matter which of them you will have, but for my particular version, I'm just going to start off with Roar. So let's get started. So starting things off, we're going to normal summon Aloof Lupine, uses effect to banish the Roar out of our hand, and the Dark out of our deck. And for one particular thing that I will say before we move on, is that for chain links, you prefer to have Roar Dark as 2 and Roar as 1, because of the fact that you really much prefer the special summon out of the deck rather than the search, because the search sure can get you to Titan and all that stuff, but the ability to get another monster on the field will still be able to get you into the Dragoon, which is a little bit more important in terms of, you know, negations and stuff. So like I said, Chainlink 2 will be Dark, which will then add to your hand the Thunder Dragon Fusion. And then Chainlink 1 will be the Roar, which will summon the Matrix out of the deck. We're then going to use those two immediately to make the Verde Anaconda. And then we're going to use the effect of Matrix to add to your hand another Matrix to then being used in your hand. Then we're going to use the effect of Fusion, or should I say Fusion from our hand, to then shuffle all three Thunder Dragon names that we have in our graveyard, which are Matrix, Roar, and Dark. And then we're going to summon out of our extra deck the Thunder Dragon Titan, which I like to summon always in defense position in a zone that my opponent cannot really get into if they're using Anima or stuff like that to steal stuff. So that's the zone that I mostly like to summon it, but honestly it's up to you. And defense position is because of things like lightning storms and such. Then lastly, we're going to use the Verde Anaconda to send, or should I say activate the Red Eyes Fusion, to then send the two materials to then summon to our side of the field the Dragoon, which, like I said again, I am proxying. Shut up, I'm not going to buy a Dragoon unless, of course, there will be a competitive scene in my particular locals, and there is none at the moment because, you know, the whole world situation. But regardless, that's pretty much it for the end board. You have the Thunder Dragon Titan with this one pop, and then you also have the Dragoon with, you know, the effect of Dragoon being Dragoon, which is a little bit of annoying. But that's pretty much does it for combo number one. Pretty straightforward. 2 interruptions beside all of the other 3 cards that you have in your hand, which can trigger with, you know, Thunder Dragon Titan, which is really cool. Unfortunately, this is a little bit of a problem to stay on the field, but it is what it is. And the combo is still pretty nice. But like I said, that's pretty much does it for combo number one. Let's move on to combo number 2. So for combo number 2, we require 2 particular cards in our hand, which are Chaos Space and Roar, which will allow us to end on a pretty nice end board. Unfortunately, it will not involve Titan, but sometimes these combos cannot involve Titan. So let's get started. So starting things off, we're going to activate the Chaos Space to discard the Roar and add to our hand the white Weatherbuster. We're then going to banish the Roar, special summon the white, trigger at the effect of Roar to summon the dark out of our deck. This, of course, is in the graveyard, which I forgot. Anyway, we're going to use these two immediately to summon the Verde Anaconda, and then trigger their effect respectively, which will be Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We'll be able to basically first add to our hand the Thunder Dragon Hawk, and then also add to our hand the Kalapa Servant. Then we're going to use the effect of Kalapa Servant to banish the white Weatherbuster to special summon itself, and then we're going to do the following. We're going to use the effect of Chaos Space, shuffling this back, to then also draw a random card, which will give us another discard or, you know, another hand trap or anything specific that we want. We're then going to use the effect of Hawk in our hand to send it to the graveyard to summon out of our banish pile the Roar, so it can be used and looped again. And then we're going to use these two finally to make the IP Masquerena, which then will trigger the effect of Kalapa Servant to add to our hand the white Weatherbuster. Once again, unfortunately, you cannot activate this effect, but it is what it is. And then finally, we're going to use once again the Dragoon thing and summon Dragoon out of your extra deck, which in this particular combo, you ended up with a Weatherbuster, which you can discard, another, you know, card in hand, which could be a discard outlet or whatever you need, and then also 2 additional, you know, extra deck monsters that you can basically, during the opponent's turn, use IP Masquerena with it and Verde Anaconda to make either Avermax, which could be good for some particular situations, or Appaloosa if you need an additional interruption, or any other rank 4 of your choice. Most of the time I actually like to go Avermax because to negate Appaloosa is not the best thing in the world, but you know, it is what it is. It's depending on what you want specifically for the matchup, so that's actually kind of good by itself. But that's pretty much does it for combo number 2. Pretty simple. Let's move on into combo number 3. For the third and final combo, we're going to use 3 cards for the combo. And for those 3, we're going to use Batteryman Solar, the Thunder Dragon Roar again, and then Chaos Space. Now, of course, these can be different combination of stuff. This can even be like, instead of Chaos Space, you can have a Lupine, and also instead of this, one of the Chaos monsters. But decide to go with cards that a little bit more have redundancy, plus to show that Barrowman Solar is actually pretty good. It's not the most amazing thing, but still having it in the deck is actually kind of fine. So let's get started with this. And to start things off, obviously, we're going to normal summon Batteryman Solar. Now, one thing I would say specifically about Batteryman Solar, it doesn't matter what you dump. You just want to have another Thunder Dragon in the graveyard. The one that I like to go mostly is Hawk, just for the off chance that I do need his shuffle effect, but mostly you don't really care what you dump. So I'm specifically dumping Hawk for this effect. Then we're going to use Chaos Space to dump the Roar, and then add to our hand the white. We're then going to banish the Roar, summoning the white, triggering the effect of the Roar to summon the dragon itself, dark, and then also get a 3 token because of the effect of Batteryman Solar, because, a Thunder Dragon, or seriously, a Thunder Monster was normal or special summoned, so you get the free token. Then, what we're going to do is that we're going to use these two immediately to turn them into Verde Anaconda, triggering both of your effect to add to your hand the Kalapa Serpent, and also add to your hand the Thunder Dragon Fusion. We're then going to use the effect of Kalapa Serpent to banish the white, special summon itself, and then use the effect of Chaos Space to shuffle back the white, just like last time, then also get a free draw to your hand on top of it. So then you get a free draw to your hand. We're then going to use the Kalapa Servant and the token to make an IP Masquerena, which require only 2 non-link monsters, and the token can be counted. Then we can use the effect of Kalapa Servant to search to our hand the White Riverbuster. Now we're going to use the effect of Thunder Dragon Fusion, which then will allow us to shuffle the 3 materials of Thunder Dragons that we have in our graveyard and are banished, which are these 3. And as I said, also sometimes, Hawk is good. You shuffle those 3, and you summon the Thunder Dragon Titan. And finally, you're going to use the mandatory use for fusion. You're going to use these 3, and then you're going to summon the Dragoon, again, proxy, I don't care, into your side of the field. So what would we end with on this time? Well, unfortunately, we didn't really end up with a, discard outlet, or should I say proc, for Titan, but we still ended up on Titan and Dragoon. But on top of that, you probably wondered to yourself, what do you do with the leftover Batteryman Solar? Well, for that particular situation, we can basically steal an opponent monster with the IP, this, and then another monster to turn this into either Underworld Goddess, or you can turn this into an IP with 3 materials, or you can just go into the Avermax, leaving this on the field, but it's less, needed. It's mostly for these 2. These 2 are the ones that you're going to use them for this combo mostly, because Appaloosa Bow the Goddess with 3 materials is a little bit better, let's be honest, from 2. You can also turn this into a Boral Sword if you want to, but mostly it doesn't really matter. It's either Underworld Goddess for the situation, or Appaloosa if you need to negate. That's pretty much what it does. But that's pretty much does it for the combos, and does it for everything overall. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and now let's move on into the closing words, I guess, for the video. Alright, so for this particular end for the video, this is the closing words. I'm actually going to do this video doing it differently. I'm not going to do the next deck choice because I already know the list of stuff that I want to do for April because of demands and all that stuff. So I'm just going to say to you what is going to come up in the next few weeks, so you will be a little bit more prepared, and or maybe you want to help me and give me some ideas for some stuff that could be really helpful as well. So the next list I'm going to do is Malifaux, followed up by Mutants, and essentially ending up the month of April. I believe it will be Dual Avatar. If there is anything else that I need to update in that list, I will basically let you know, but basically that's the list of the new next decks. Malifaux, Mutants, Dual Avatar, this is what you asked for, and this is what I'm going to do. So Malifaux and Mutants kind of had the same number of votes, but I decided to go with Malifaux first, just because with Mutants I need to get a little bit more familiar with. But yeah, this is pretty much the list for the next videos, for at least the deck profiles. I'll see what else I also able to do. But that's pretty much it. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed the list. Hope you enjoyed the video as a whole, the combos, everything. And once again, let me know in the comments down below what you think and how you improve the deck, or what do you think of it overall. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.